What if I told you that some of the most important records in the history of rhythm and blues were jokes? Not jokes in the sense that nobody took them seriously. Jokes in the sense that the people who made them were laughing when they made them. Laughing at parents. Laughing at television. Laughing at uptight radio programmers who had no idea what they were actually hearing.
Oh, my.
Back in the 1950s and early 1960s, R&B was raw, it was wild, and it was absolutely fearless. And buried deep inside all that soul and swagger were some of the funniest, strangest, most outrageous songs ever pressed to vinyl. Songs that radio stations banned. Songs that parents called dangerous. Songs that teenagers called the greatest thing they had ever heard. And here's the part nobody tells you.
Oh, my.
Some of those joke songs became the biggest hits of their era. Some of them changed music forever, and at least one of them finally gave the greatest rock and roll songwriter who ever lived his very first #1 hit, after 17 years of trying. Today on Soul Lens, we are counting down 10 R&B joke songs that defied every expectation and became global hits. Every single story on this list is 100% real. Some of them will shock you, some of them will make you laugh out loud, and all of them will make you hear music differently. Let's get into it.
Fairly good. But you know what? It wasn't but two girls.
Number 10, Tutti Frutti, Little Richard, 1955.
The east, she rock to the west, but she's a gal that I love it. To the boot, oh Rudy, to the boot.
It is September 1955, and somewhere in a recording studio in New Orleans, a young man named Richard Wayne Penniman is having a very bad afternoon. He has been trying to cut a record for Specialty Records all day. Nothing is working. Nothing is clicking. The session is grinding to a halt. So during the lunch break, he walks over to the piano, and he starts playing a song he has been performing in black nightclubs for years. A song he originally wrote while he was working as a dishwasher at a Greyhound bus station in Macon, Georgia. Years later, Little Richard told Rolling Stone exactly how it started. He said his boss kept sending back pots for him to wash. And one day, out of pure frustration, he just yelled something at the top of his lungs. And what he yelled, it became the most famous opening line in rock and roll history. Now, here is what you need to understand. The original version of that song was not about fruit, not remotely. The original lyrics were so explicit that when the producer heard them, he immediately brought in a songwriter named Dorothy Labostri to clean the whole thing up in about 15 minutes.
To me, to the booty, oh Rudy, yes indeed, boy you don't know what to do.
What came out the other side was Tutti Frutti. It hit the Billboard R&B chart at #2. Pat Boone covered it and took it higher on the pop chart, which was the way things worked in 1955. But it was Little Richard's version that lived. It was Little Richard who screamed it into existence. A song born from a dishwasher's frustration. A song that had to be rewritten to be printable. And a song that helped launch rock and roll as we know it.
I got a girl named Sue. She knows I rock to the east, she rock to the west, but she's a gal that...
Number 9, Say Man, Bo Diddley, 1959. Bo Diddley did not just play music, he performed a character. Born Ellis Otha Bates in Macomb, Mississippi, he grew up in Chicago and built one of the most original sounds in all of rock and roll. A trembling, hypnotic beat rooted in African rhythms and nursery rhymes. He influenced the Beatles. He influenced the Rolling Stones. He influenced Buddy Holly. The guitar rhythm he invented has been copied so many times that most people who use it today do not even know where it came from. And yet his biggest pop hit was not a love song. It was not a guitar showcase. It was an argument. Say Man was recorded in 1958 and released in 1959 on Checker Records. It was a back-and-forth battle of insults between Bo Diddley and his percussionist, Jerome Green, and the two of them trading increasingly ridiculous put-downs rooted in the Black American verbal tradition known as playing the dozens. Jerome Green delivers one line that is still quoted today. He looks at Bo Diddley and says, "You got the nerve to call somebody ugly? Why, you so ugly. The stork that brought you into the world ought to be arrested." The crowd loved it. Radio stations played it. Say Man reached number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it Bo Diddley's biggest pop crossover hit of his entire career. It also hit number 3 on the R&B chart. Music historians now point to Say Man as a direct ancestor of rap music. The insult structure, the verbal rhythm, the call and response. It is all there, 15 years before hip-hop had a name. Bo Diddley was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. He passed away in 2008. But Say Man lives on as proof that the dozens could sell records. Quick note, if these stories are hitting different, you are not subscribed yet. Hit that button right now and turn on the bell. You are watching Soul Lens, and we have 8 more stories to go. And trust me, they only get wilder from here.
Because of mine.
Number 8, I Put a Spell on You. Screamin' Jay Hawkins, 1956. Screamin' Jay Hawkins was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1929. He studied classical piano as a child. He had serious ambitions of becoming an opera singer. He was also a trained boxer. In short, he was the last person on earth you would expect to record one of the most terrifying records in R&B history. In September 1956, Hawkins went into the studio at OK Records to cut a new version of a blues ballad he had written. But the producer, Arnold Maxon, thought the band was playing it too safe. So Maxon did something that no one in any recording session manual has ever recommended. He ordered in crates of beer and fried chicken. He announced that this was no longer a recording session. It was a party. And he told everyone to cut completely loose.
I love you!
By the time they were drunk enough, the recording began. Hawkins himself admitted years later that he did not remember making the record. What came out of that session was not a love song. He wailed, he moaned, he growled. He howled sounds that radio programmers described without irony as orgiastic and cannibalistic. The song was immediately banned and reportedly sold over 1 million copies. DJ Alan Freed then offered Hawkins $300 to emerge from a coffin on stage. Hawkins initially refused, but eventually he relented. And from that moment, a monster was born. He began appearing in flaming coffins. He wore leopard skin capes. He carried a smoking skull on a stick that he named Henry and set off fireworks during his performances. No, music historians now call Screamin' Jay Hawkins the first shock rock performer in history, predating Alice Cooper, predating Kiss, by nearly 2 decades. Number 7, Yakety Yak, The Coasters, 1958.
You ain't gonna rock and roll no more, yakety yak. Get all that garbage out of sight.
By 1958, Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller had already written Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock for Elvis Presley. They were 2 of the most successful songwriters in America, and their greatest contribution to American music was not a ballad or a heartbreaker. It was a 3-minute comedy sketch disguised as a song.
Bring in that dog and put out the cat.
The story of how Yakety Yak was born is almost too perfect. Lieber and Stoller were working in their New York office when Stoller started fooling around at the piano. And from the kitchen, not as a creative exercise, just as a random thought, Lieber shouted, "Take out the papers and the trash." They looked at each other, and within minutes, they had their song. Lieber and Stoller referred to their Coasters songs as playlets, little theatrical scenes set to music. Yakety Yak was the ultimate playlet. A teenager gets lectured about his chores. His parent warns him, "If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more." The kid fires back, and a booming baritone voice responds, "Don't talk back." Featuring the blazing tenor saxophone of King Curtis, the song topped both the Billboard Hot 100 and the R&B chart simultaneously in the summer of 1958. It was the Coasters' first and only pop #1.
Get all that garbage out of sight. Just throw it to the
The song resonated across racial lines because every single kid in America understood what it felt like to be lectured by their parents. It was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999. It is on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. And yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger sang it in the 1988 film Twins. Don't Talk Back. Number 6, Charlie Brown, The Coasters, 1959. Anybody always picking on me? In one brilliant production moment during the bridge, red-handed but still couldn't believe the world was against him. Released in January 1959, Charlie Brown climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, where it stayed for 3 weeks, kept out of the top spot only by Frankie Avalon's Venus. It also hit number 2 on the R&B chart. And at their failed 1962 Decca audition, the audition that led to one of the most famous rejections, from the flip side of this very record, proving that the Coasters were already influencing the most important band of the next decade. Number 5, Along Came Jones, The Coasters, 1959.
Latest hits. Here come the Coasters.
By the spring of 1959, Lieber and Stoller had a very good problem. Every song they wrote for the Coasters became a hit. So for their next trick, they decided to take on an entire genre of American culture, television westerns. In 1959, 7 of the 10 top-rated TV shows in America were westerns. Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, Wyatt Earp. The country was obsessed with cowboys and damsels in distress, and Lieber and Stoller decided to skewer the whole thing. Along Came Jones tells the story of a man watching a melodramatic Western serial on television. The villain, Salty Sam, keeps tying the heroine, Sweet Sue, to railroad tracks, to sawmill blades, to dynamite fuses. And every single time, at the very last possible second, a slow-walking, a dim-witted cowboy named Jones shows up to save her. King Curtis wrote his saxophone through every climactic moment, honking and wailing every time Salty Sam made his move.
No talking Joe.
Music historian Ken Emerson later noted that what made the song genuinely radical was not just the humor. It was the fact that these were black voices mocking an iconic white American genre, 15 years before Mel Brooks did the same thing in Blazing Saddles. Released in April 1959, the song peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, the Coasters' third top 10 hit in just over a year. They performed it on American Bandstand in June of that year. The kids went absolutely wild.
That train was coming.
Number 4, Poison Ivy, The Coasters, 1959.
She comes on like a rose. You can look, but you better not touch.
The Coasters had already taken on parents, troublemaking teenagers, and television cowboys. Now, in the summer of 1959, they took on something far more dangerous. A girl. On the surface, Poison Ivy is a warning about a woman too dangerous to get close to. She's compared to measles, mumps, chickenpox, and whooping cough, and deemed worse than all of them. The chorus stretches the word Ivy into something almost operatic, the Coasters bending the syllables until they snap. And in one genuinely unique moment, it became the only hit single in pop history to feature the words calamine lotion in the lyrics.
And mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox measles make you bumpy.
Radio had no idea what the song was actually about. Parents had no idea. Teenagers had no idea, though some apparently suspected something was off. In 2009, lyricist Jerry Lieber revealed in his autobiography, with no ambiguity whatsoever, Poison Ivy is not about a dangerous woman. It is a metaphor for a sexually transmitted disease. It had been hiding in plain sight on Top 40 radio for 50 years.
Comes a creeping around late at night while you're sleeping for the night.
Poison Ivy hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reached number 1 on the R&B chart, where it stayed for 5 non-consecutive weeks. The Rolling Stones covered it early in their career. Between 1957 and 1959, the Coasters placed 7 records on the Billboard charts, 6 of them in the top 10. No other comedy act in the history of recorded music has matched that run. Poison Ivy was the last great one, disguising something filthy as something cheerful and getting away with it completely. Number 3, Walking the Dog, Rufus Thomas, 1963. Rufus Thomas was 46 years old when he had his first major pop hit. Let that sit for a moment. Born in 1917 in Casey, Mississippi, Thomas had been working the Memphis entertainment scene since the 1930s. As a tap dancer, a vaudeville comedian, an MC, and as a radio DJ at WDIA. He was already a Memphis legend. He had helped discover B.B. King, Bobby Bland, and Johnny Ace. He had given young talent their first shot for decades. But the national spotlight had never found him. Then came Walking the Dog. Thomas wrote the song himself and recorded it for Stax Records in 1963, backed by the legendary Stax House Band. It was a playful novelty dance track. Thomas whistling and calling for a dog, pulling call and response phrases from children's nursery rhymes, especially Mary Mac. The song even opened with the first 14 notes of Mendelssohn's Wedding March before immediately going sideways into something funky and ridiculous. Released in June 1963, it reached number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 5 on the R&B chart. Rufus Thomas became the first, and to this day still the only, father in pop chart history to debut in the top 10 after his daughter had already appeared there. His daughter, Carla Thomas, had scored with Gee Whiz back in 1961. The Rolling Stones covered Walking the Dog immediately for their 1964 debut album. Aerosmith covered it for their 1973 debut. It was the last song they recorded for that record. Rufus Thomas continued performing into his 80s. He appeared in Robert Altman's film Cookie's Fortune. He performed at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. He passed away in December 2001 at the age of 84. Still working, still funky, still one of a kind. Number 2, The Twist, Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, 1959. You know the twist. You know Chubby Checker. You know the dance. But here is what most people do not know. Hank Ballard wrote it, recorded it first, and the world gave someone else the credit. The story begins with two members of a gospel quartet called the Sensational Nightingales, who had come up with a dance song far too risque for church music. They offered it to Hank Ballard, whose biggest hits had already included songs with titles like Work With Me Annie and Sexy Ways. Ballard reworked it with his guitarist Cal Green and recorded it at King Records in Cincinnati in late 1958. The label buried it as a B-side. But a local Baltimore TV disc jockey named Buddy Dean started playing it at teen dances. Kids went absolutely crazy. The dance spread by word of mouth, so Dick Clark caught wind of it. Clark wanted to feature it on American Bandstand, but Ballard was unavailable. So Clark went to Cameo Parkway Records, a label he had a financial interest in, and found a 19-year-old singer named Ernest Evans. Clark's wife, Barbara, nicknamed the chubby young singer Chubby Checker, a play on Fats Domino. Checker's cover was so close to Ballard's original that when Ballard first heard it on the radio, he thought it was his own record. By September 1960, Checker's version hit #1. The twist became the biggest dance craze in American history. Ballard's original was re-released and reached #28. He also scored genuine top 10 hits of his own with Finger Poppin' Time and Let's Go, Let's Go, Let's Go. In 1990, Hank Ballard was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, finally receiving the recognition that the dance craze had given everyone else but him.
Out here and one little girl back here taking care of all them dinglings. And this time we need more girls to participate now. Come on, that's entirely too much. That's entirely. Now here, get it. Come on. Get it. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Ladies now. Get with the gentleman now and participate now. Come on now, here, open your mouth. Oh, cameraman. Oh, cameraman, even your. I want you to play. Oh, my. Beautiful. When I was a wee little. Little toy, silver bells hang. Boy, my grandmother bought me a cute. It was my ding-a-ling-a-ling, oh, on a string. She told me my beautiful, beautiful. And now it really gets to you. Wait till we get about the 5th verse off. Yes, sir. We got about 130 ladies singing. Then Mama took me to Sunday school. Well, ladies, golden rule. But when the choir, they tried to teach me the gold, I'd sit there and play with my ding-a-ling. I would stand and sing. Ding-a-ling, I want you to play. Ding-a-ling. Grammar school, but I stopped. Then Mama took me to. Every time that bell would ring, hopped off in the vestibule. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, oh my ding-a-ling. Catch me playing with my ding. Once I was climbing the garden wall. Ding-a-ling. Fall. I fell. I slipped and had a turtle.